And welcome back to my cozy corner of the internet. I'm Mayastar, and today we have another unscripted video. In this unscripted video, I'm going to be talking about my latest channel meditation, answering some of your questions, including the optimal options for Indigo children, and discussing a little bit about spiritual guides and the light beings that can support us on our healing journey, and talking about the latest Mayastar special offer, which is for the Lemurian Indigo Connections course. As usual, I come armed with notes, but without a script, so we'll be meandering around the topic and pursuing the scenic route to enlightenment. If this sounds interesting to you, stick around and while away the next half an hour or so with me as we explore these things together. If you enjoy this kind of content, please consider subscribing and share this page with your friends. I upload exciting spiritual content for you every week. Every Saturday, an unscripted video like this goes live. On Mondays, I release an energy update with guidance and law of attraction affirmations for the week ahead. And every Wednesday, I release a video version of one of my meditations. The full versions of my meditations can be found on the Releases tab on YouTube, as well as on all of your favourite music apps, including iTunes, Amazon Music, Spotify, Napster, and Pandora. If you're a regular viewer of the Mayastar YouTube channel, you may also have noticed that I recently set up some playlists where the meditation tracks and the 12-hour looped live stream versions of those tracks are available on playlists separated by the different energies represented. So far I've set up one for Pleiadian energy, and there's one for Lemurian energy, divine feminine, and I will continue to update that and set up new playlists as there are more tracks available in each category. But please visit the Mayastar YouTube channel to explore those new playlists. I also want to say thank you to those who made donations to me for my birthday and afterwards. I really appreciate your contribution to the channel, and all of the proceeds are currently being put together towards my next musical instrument, which will be a harp that's coming before the end of this year, and I'm sure that will make an appearance on some of my meditations before the end of the year too, so look out for that. If you enjoy the meditations, you may have noticed that I'm already using a small lyre harp on some compositions. That's something you can expect to hear a little bit more of on some of the tracks, and I hope you'll enjoy those frequencies. If you do want to make a donation, you can use the Super Thanks button, which is below every video on this channel. You can also make donations during the live streams that go out every afternoon and overnight, and there are also links in the description of this video for Buy Me a Coffee and PayPal if you prefer. In addition to the small lyre harp that I've been using in the recent compositions, I've also been using a kalimba, which you may have noticed, but you may not have, and if you haven't, now you can listen out for it. It's a very cheerful, joyful, almost music box-like sound. It reminds me of my nan's jewellery box, which played music and which I treasure to this day. So using the kalimba has been a rewarding experience for me. I really enjoy that sound, and exploring different ways of manipulating those tones afterwards has been very inspiring. So some some new sounds coming through, and I hope you'll enjoy those. As usual, I've got a lot of percussion instruments, so a lot of different instruments are making an appearance on my meditation tracks, but I do like to mention it when something new comes up so that you can listen out and see if you can identify the new sounds. I'm going to start off answering a question I received, which somebody had left on a meditation video and then also on a live stream, which was for a different meditation, and she was inquiring whether these energies were suitable for indigo children, or she actually said somebody with an indigo soul. So an indigo child is somebody who has indigo as the dominant colour within their aura. The aura is actually the light body, the energy body, so that extends beyond your physical body. And some people are able to perceive an aura, and in those with certain spiritual gifts, the aura tends to be a deep blue colour. And there's no reason why you would need a special meditation to work with. You could work with any meditation regardless of the colours present within your energy field. But there are meditations you can use to enhance and amplify the gifts that come with an indigo coloured energy field. Now bear in mind, an indigo soul is not accurate. The soul would be pure white light. Everybody contains all of those frequencies. So we're talking about the energy field of the person, the aura, the immediate energy that surrounds the body. And this will express the purpose and gifts that you're bringing into this life, the things that you need to express on a spiritual level. So it's like part of your soul. Consider it sort of like a filter, I suppose. These are the frequencies that you're focusing on. This is the filter that you're working with in this lifetime. And to amplify the gifts for an indigo child, or somebody with indigo within their energy field, or even somebody who just wants to cultivate more of an indigo aura, there are a couple of systems I would strongly recommend. The first of these is the Wheel of Light Starseed Activations Attunement course, which is one of the more recent Starseed Energy courses, which you can find on the Starseed Energies course category menu and also on the A to Z courses menu on the Mayastar website at mayastar.net. And the Indigo Aura Attunement has a symbol and light language mantra included in it, so that you can work with those energies and activate your gifts. There is also a dedicated meditation track for working with this energy, and you can find that by searching the Mayastar YouTube channel for the Wheel of Light Starseed Activations Indigo Aura Meditation. If you are already attuned to it, you will find the links in your course manual. If you are not attuned to it and would like to be, as I say, you can find it on the Mayastar website. My second recommendation would be the Lemurian Indigo Connections course, which is on the special offer this week. This is an attunement course channeled through the Lemurian mother goddess Amara. She is an ocean-centric goddess, and she is a very nurturing force and very supportive of your spiritual growth. So she makes a great ally for indigo children and light workers of all stripes. And through the Lemurian Indigo Connections course, you actually receive 7 sacred symbols that come to us through Amara that represent the different gifts of an indigo child. And each has its own unique mantra, which can be used to activate that particular gift. And this week's meditation track includes the mantras from the Lemurian Indigo Connections course, So if you want to further amplify those effects, I would recommend listening to the latest meditation while you're working with the Lemurian Indigo connections energies. You could simply visualize the symbol that you wish to connect with, the particular gift that you wish to awaken, and then listen to the meditation as part of your spiritual practice to bring that energy through. And although those symbols are not imprinted on your energy field unless you are attuned to it, anybody can enjoy the meditation. But if you are attuned to the Lemurian Indigo connections, I think you'll find it a very powerful experience, and it will amplify the effect of simply working with the energy by focusing on the symbols and using the mantra. It adds another dimension, something else you can do to bring those energies through. The 7 mantras are all light language mantras as well. So if you are looking to learn some Lemurian light language, that would be a good option. But likewise, all of the Wheel of Light starseed activations include light language mantras which are Lemurian. So if you are drawn to Lemurian energies, these are a great way to amplify those currents and awaken the memories of your spiritual inheritance. This week I've been working quite a lot with the goddess Amara, not just because I'm working on the channeled meditation for Lemurian Indigo. Oh, I should have mentioned there is another meditation. There may actually be 2, I'm not sure, 1 or 2. If you search this channel or search Mayastar Lemurian Indigo, you'll find the other meditations that can also be used. But the new one is just another option for people that are working with those energies. And as I say, I've been working with the goddess Amara a lot this week, partly because I'm doing that meditation track for Lemurian Indigo connections, but also because if you remember a few videos back, I mentioned a new crystal that I'd received from Liam, which is a unicorn horn. And I made a joke at the time that this would be a very small unicorn, but here we go. Have a look. I hope this shows up quite well on the better camera. I don't know if I can make it catch the light, but basically this crystal was formed within a shell, so it's got a slight spiraling on it, and where the shell has then, I assume, been broken or just disappeared, and the crystal remains, and it does look like a tiny unicorn horn. And if you know anything about me, well, you've probably seen in my emojis that I leave all over the pinned comments on all of these videos. I'm sure you've noticed that there's often unicorns in there. Unicorns, rainbows and peace signs. That's pretty much my currency. But yeah, I've been working with this crystal for a little while now to see where I was guided to take it, and it's definitely centered itself around my Lemurian work. So that's something that's come up for me this week, an intensification of those energies. And I think it's because the crystal, although to him it felt really strong in the unicorn energies, to me it feels really strong in the Lemurian energy. And I think it is because it was in a shell, so it's got that association with the sea and with the goddess of the ocean and so on. So that's what it brings through for me. And a lot of Queen of Cups energy. That's a card that I often work with when I'm connecting with Amara. So I'll be using that crystal for future meditation channelings, which will be interesting. Perhaps I could think of it as being, maybe it's like a unicorn horn for a seahorse. No. Well, you know how seahorses don't actually look like horses. I can quite imagine it would fit on one of those because they're only tiny, aren't they? So there you go. Perhaps it's a unicorn horn for a sea unicorn rather than a land unicorn. That would make a bit of sense. Am I the only one who's still feeling a little bit gutted that seahorses are so small. When I was a kid, I imagined they were huge. I thought they would be like so big that that all the mermaids would be riding around on seahorses. Yeah, still disappointed that they turned out to be so small. Oh well. Yeah, but anyway, now we know that sea unicorns might be a thing. I can get on board with a sea unicorn. And I have another question from somebody who was taking some magical workings with me and wondered if I could elaborate a bit more on my familiar spirits. There are 4 spirits that I work with mainly within the Mayastar temple, and I work with them for every single working because they're my familiar spirits. They're my spiritual family. You could consider them sort of like a tribe because we've been working together. That must have, for about 30 years, give or take 30 years, I've been working with them. So these are spirits that I've worked with extensively. I work with many other spirits. And most of the time when I'm working with other spirits, they would be light beings and deities. I work with 2 Pleiadian guides. I work with the goddess Amara for Lemurian work, but I also work with Amara for other types of healing work. And I have a second Lemurian guide that I work with more for crystal healing, more centered around earth energies. So I would say the goddess Amara, I work with her mostly for water-centric rituals and purposes, and the other guide that I work with for principally healing and crystal grid work and that kind of thing. Much more earthy, grounding energy. So in combination, that works very well together, a very balanced energy that I can work with for the Lemurians. The person who asked this question was mainly asking if the familiar spirits that I work with are deceased human spirits. No, they are not. In a ritual context, that would not be appropriate in the tradition I work in, because if you're invoking the spirits of the dead to help you with your magic, that's actually a practice called necromancy, and it can be a bit of a grey area magically. To be invoking a human soul for use in a ritual, it's not something I would ever do. Although there is no reason that you can't work with the spirits of loved ones that have passed over. But if you're doing anything beyond meditation and prayer with those spirits, or you're connecting with them too frequently, then you do need to make sure you're not crossing a line. The way this was put to me when I was a very young witch was, what do you think the dead are doing? Just sitting on the other side twiddling their thumbs with nothing better to do than to come and do what you tell them? that humans aren't like that in life. That would be slavery. And if they're not like that in death, that would be necromancy, and that would be black magic. So that's not something I do. And no, within my temple work, I'd never work with the deceased, because like I say, it just would be against my principles. But there are some spiritual beings that were previously human and then ascended to a higher plane, but from there support us in our spiritual development work. For example, the Ascended Master Saint Germain, the Ascended Master Yeshua, or Jesus as some people call him, and Mother Mary, Mary Magdalene. These are all considered Ascended Masters. I suppose in a similar way to how Catholics view the saints as being people that you can contact on the other side because they have stated an intention to be there to support and help other people. So that's a bit different because, these are people and light beings that are on board for being there to support and help humans in their spiritual development work and healing practices. But I would put it like this. You can consider the beings that I work with essentially light beings that are tied to elemental forces. But I consider them family. They are always with me. Well, the temple is always with me because I'm frequently working, but I maintain a connection with them all of the time. And I'm sure you can appreciate when I put it like that, if they were deceased human souls, that would be so inappropriate to be maintaining a continuous connection. That would be problematic. But these are spirits that I've been working with, and I consider them representative of different elemental forces and different light currents. So this person also asked, how can you connect with spiritual guides? And there is actually a course I teach for this, the Starseed Spirit Guide Connections course, which you can find on the website. Creates an opportunity for you to connect with different guides. But like I say, your guides are most likely going to be either elemental beings or light beings from other dimensions. They could be Pleiadians or Arcturians or Mintakans and originate from different star systems. And they might also be Lemurians or Avalonians or some other tribe of light being that you can connect with. And usually they will identify themselves to you through your communication with them, the symbols and impressions they share with you. But they can also be animal spirits. Animal spirits can be fantastic guides, and different animals have a lot to teach us. So that's something else you might come across as you're connecting with different beings for your spiritual practice and energy healing work. And the final question that I have to cover this week is from somebody who inquired as to how they could make their energy healing work a bit more intuitive. They felt that it was a little bit too rigid. The way that they had organised their regular practice had become a little bit too structured, and they ended up always working with the same systems and never seeming to deviate from their fixed practice. And so they felt that they were missing something, but I don't think they are missing anything. I think that what they're experiencing is just the next phase of their growth. They've outgrown their original ritual, which was much more ordered and structured, and now they want to try things in a different way. And the way I explained this was, I use the example of when I'm doing my stretches. Now, because I dance in the temple for a lot of the rituals, and I dance a lot anyway, I do have to do quite a bit of stretching. Almost every night I'll complete a yin yoga practice just to loosen up my muscles before I go to sleep. But I don't consider it yin yoga anymore because I don't follow a fixed yoga flow. I tend to do whatever I feel I need to do that night. I have progressed to an intuitive way of stretching because I know my body and I know what it needs. But that wouldn't always have been the case. So this was my point. When I was learning stretches, I was learning some yoga poses. I learned ballet and other systems of keeping fit with different stretches and that kind of thing. I've practiced many different sorts of stretching practices over many years. And so now, because I worked within those systems, I can draw from them and work much more intuitively without needing to complete a full yoga flow every night sort of thing. I can just go with the flow of my own body and do what my body needs at the time. But it wouldn't always have worked that way. If I went back 20 years and told myself to just stretch intuitively, I wouldn't have had the same knowledge of my body without working with those structured systems. And I would say the same applies to energy work. When you start out your energy work, it needs to be a little bit structured. That's why Mikao Usui developed the Usui Shiki Ryoho Reiki modality as we know it today, where we've got the symbols and the hand positions. These act as a guide and they create a structure that makes it kind of foolproof. And even if you're not very intuitive, you can use Usui Reiki because it's so structured, which is one of the reasons I recommend it as a foundational course and the optimal course for beginners, because it would be very hard to not be able to use it when it's so structured. Whereas more intuitive systems or systems that rely on you being able to visualize, for example, they might be considered a little bit more complex for certain people. Some people struggle a little bit with learning to visualize things. Other people can naturally do that without ever practicing energy healing, and they come to energy healing already knowing how to visualize things. And intuition is a skill kind of like visualization. It's something that you learn by doing it, and that's the only way you can learn it. It's not something that you're going to be able to pick up from a book. But I think the reason energy healing practices can help is because you can be attuned to multiple different energy healing techniques, and you'll have different ways of using them. You'll gradually get used to the different frequencies and when that you feel that they are most appropriate. And as you build up your techniques and experiences with different energy healing modalities, you will begin to notice the differences between them, and that can help you to fine-tune your practice. And that is your intuition developing. That's the beginning of you being able to heal intuitively, because you're able to identify which energy you need to bring through for any particular situation. So this is something that I've recommended to people who are beginners in energy healing for a number of years, that it's best to learn a variety of different systems that have different methods of application. So usually what I would recommend is Usui Reiki as a good foundation for all the reasons I've just talked about. And on top of that, Kundalini Reiki, which combines very well with Usui Reiki but works in a different way and has a different way of activating the energy. Violet Flame, which is good for clearing the energetic space as well as healing. The Orb of Life, which is a spiritual tool. And Ethereal Crystals Healing, which can help you to start learning different crystal properties that could further enhance your spiritual practice. And finally, I recommend the Rainbow Sequence Healing course, which can help you to learn more about the chakras and energy centers. So in that combination of courses, you can learn a lot of techniques, connect with a lot of different energy frequencies, and you're using energies that can combine well together but can also be used on their own. So it opens you up to opportunities for experimentation, and by doing that, it helps you to build some confidence in your intuition, and to gradually over time, it doesn't come overnight, it does take time, but over time you begin to work with those energies on a more intuitive level. I think you'll be surprised. It's a natural process, and most people will become more intuitive in their practice as they go on. But I mean, don't rush it. Just allow it to unfold at its natural pace. If you try to force it, if you try to rush yourself, you may lose your confidence and feel a little bit less grounded in the practice. Trust the process and let things unfold in their own time, and I'm sure you'll flourish. I hope that helps. So that's this week. I feel like all of these questions were about energy healing, really, weren't they? Oh no, there was the question about my spirits. So yeah, that's everything that I wanted to cover today. That's all of my questions. So I hope that's been interesting. If you feel like I've missed anything, let me know in the comments and I'll add it to the list for a future episode. And if you have any other questions, you can email me with your questions or ask me in the comment section of any of my videos, and I'll add them to the list and get to them in a future unscripted episode. And all that remains is for me to thank you for spending some time with me today. I hope you've enjoyed your time with me. I hope you've had a good week, and I hope you're about to have another one. I hope you'll be back here again next week for some more mystical meanderings with me. But in the meantime, I wish you peace, prosperity, and progress in all you do. With blessings.